The 2024 PFL regular season has come to a close, which means the PFL playoffs are here, and the first event of three goes down this weekend, Friday, August 2nd, from Nashville, Tennessee. This card will feature the two fights in the heavyweight division and the two semifinal fights in the women's flyweight division. The main event will be between number one seed Denis Goltsov and number four seed Tim Johnson. The co-main event will see the number one seed Dakota Ditcheva versus the four seed Jena Bishop. And then the other two playoff fights will be number two Oleg Popov versus number three Linton Vassell, and number two Taila Santos versus number three Liz Carmouche. Let's take a quick look at how we got here. How did these fighters get to their seedings? How did they make it to the playoffs? And what can we expect this weekend? From April of 2022 to August of 2023, Denis Goltsov was on a 5-fight win streak with 4 of those victories coming by way of stoppage. That was good enough to get him to the 2023 heavyweight finals last year for the PFL before losing in the championship bout to Renan Ferreira. But he has since got right back on the horse, has a 2-0 year in 2024 regular season with 2 KO TKOs over Linton Vassell, who is in the playoffs as well, and a first-round knockout of former UFC title challenger Thiago Santos. Goltsov has finished 28 of his 34 victories, been finished in 7 out of his 8 defeats. He is an kill or be killed fighter, and he is going up against the dangerous heavyweight from Bellator, now in the PFL, Tim Johnson. Tim Johnson may have ended his Bellator stretch losing 3 of his last 4 fights. However, he did win that last bout, plus 2 more since then. He fought once in Extreme Fighting Championships in April, got a first-round TKO, then got pulled in June to the heavyweight championship regular season for the PFL, not having competed in the first event. So he had to make a huge statement in order to get enough points. And what does he do? He secures a first-round finish in 3 minutes to get a quick 6. That first-round finish over Danilo Marquez was enough to secure a playoff spot for Tim Johnson in the 4 seed, and now he will be taking on his most dangerous opponent in the last few years in Denis Goltsov. The winner of this will have the right to fight for the PFL Heavyweight Championship in November and a $1 million jumbo check. And the second PFL heavyweight semifinal matchup puts Oleg Popov up against Linton Vassell. And Popov, the 2 seed, has not lost a fight since November of 2016. So if my math is correct, Oleg is now 18-1. He was 2-1 at the time of his first and only loss in MMA, which means he's on a 16-fight win streak right now, 2-0 in the PFL 2024 season. His first bout was against Steve Mallory, where he got a second-round TKO, and then he secured a decision victory in June against Davion Franklin. During this 16-fight win streak, Oleg has finished 11 of his opponents. He is very dangerous, slow, methodical at the very same time, 32 years old, so right in his prime, not the biggest of heavyweights in the world, but big enough to pack a punch and pack a finish. And the 41-year-old Linton Vassell went 1-1 in the regular season, but he did do enough to just squeeze in to the PFL playoffs. He secured a split decision over Valentin Moldavsky, former Bellator heavyweight champion, in June. Prior to that, he lost his initial fight in the season to Denis Goltsov, who we talked about previously. But prior to his PFL stint, Vassell was on a 5-fight win streak when he was finishing out the Bellator run, the Bellator transition into becoming under the umbrella of PFL. Still confusing how we want to talk about it. But during that 5-fight win streak, he was racking up finish after finish. 4 of those 5 were by stoppage, all against top guys in the division. He beat Valentin Moldavsky once in Bellator. He beat Tim Johnson. He beat Tyrell Fortune. So Linton Vassell is dangerous. He's shredded. He's a very, very large, dangerous man, and someone else who, much like the rest of the heavyweights, are prone to getting a finish. 18 of his 24 victories are by stoppage. 6 of his 9 losses are by finish. These 2 fights here secure the 2 finalists for the PFL Heavyweight Championship. People are going to be going to sleep this weekend. And now we will transition into what I believe to be the most competitive, most exciting division of the PFL for 2024, and that is the women's flyweight division. We will start with the number 1 seed Dakota Ditcheva taking on the 4 seed Bellator veteran Jena Bishop. Dakota Ditcheva went 3-0 in 2023 with 3 finishes to become the international, the European PFL champion, winning $100,000. Now she has joined the regular PFL season here in the United States and look to become $1 million richer. And she is off to a great start because she has been 2-0 so far in the season with 2 first round finishes, one over Lisa Malden and most recently in June, Chelsea Hackett. In my opinion, Dakota Ditcheva is the most lethal, deadliest striker in all of women's mixed martial arts right now, especially when you want to talk about the 3 big brands of UFC, PFL, and Bellator. I don't think there are many people that could compete over the course of 15 or 25 minutes against someone as technical and precise as Dakota Ditcheva has proven to be, whether it's up against the fence, in the open range with her long, rangy kicks and strike speed, her power that she possesses with her elbows, her knees to the body, her body work with her punches. She does everything so well. And to be only 26 years old is absolutely terrifying to me. I believe that if she can win this fight here and win the PFL Women's Flyweight Championship in November, she could become the face of the entire PFL organization. Yes, of course, they have someone as huge as Francis Ngannou signed to the company, but he has yet to compete under the PFL banner in a mixed martial arts fight. So for that reason alone, until we get Francis in the cage, I think Dakota Ditcheva, as long as she becomes the champion, is the face of the PFL, similar to another female who once dominated in the PFL, 2-time champion Kayla Harrison. Her opponent is the 38-year-old 7-1 Bellator veteran Jena Bishop, who is coming off of a loss to Taila Santos in June, but prior to that, got a first-round submission via armbar over Chelsea Hackett, which secured her 6 points and ended up being the turning point to secure her spot in these rankings, being that she did not go 2-0. But if you want to look at it this way, prior to joining the PFL, Bishop started her career in LFA, a very big regional promotion. She went 4-0 there, then went to Bellator and racked up 2 victories. So yes, she's 38. She started a little bit later in her career, didn't make a pro debut till October of 2021 when she would have been 34, 35 years old. But she's proven to have a very good skill set. But will it be good enough to take down the undefeated rising star that is Dakota Ditcheva? And this matchup right here between the 2 seed Taila Santos and the 3 seed Liz Carmouche is an absolutely fantastic women's mixed martial arts display that we are going to see. Not only do we have 2 former UFC veterans, we have 2 former UFC title challengers. Liz Carmouche challenged for the title at bantamweight and flyweight. Taila Santos challenged for the title in June of 2022 against Valentina Shevchenko in a fight that a lot of people thought she won and should have been crowned as the flyweight queen. Taila did finish her UFC stint with another consecutive loss after the Shevchenko very close fight to Erin Blanchfield, who we've gone on to see enter into the top 5 of that division. But she chose to leave in free agency rather than getting released. She is 2-0 in the PFL. Her first fight was against Ilara Joanne in April. She got a first round submission there and then locked up her playoff spot with a decision victory over the aforementioned Jena Bishop. Taila is right in her prime at 31 years old, 21 victories, only 3 defeats to her name with 14 finishes. She is very high level and very well-rounded. But Liz Carmouche is a huge step up because Liz has been in there with the who's who of women's mixed martial arts for well over a decade. Carmouche's last UFC fight was a loss to Valentina Shevchenko for the Women's Flyweight Championship, but after a year away from the sport, she returned, and she returned as the newest free agent signing to Bellator, and she absolutely tore up the Women's Flyweight division, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0 in the Bellator promotion. She became the Bellator champion. She defended her title 3 separate times. Out of those 7 victories, she had 6 finishes in that stretch of fights. She absolutely hit another gear, hit another stride, even though she's now 40 years old, was doing this in her late 30s, is absolutely unreal. And since joining the PFL, she has extended that win streak to 9, going 2-0 with victories over Juliana Velasquez, her third victory over Juliana, as a matter of fact, and a third round submission in a fight that, had she not pulled off the submission, would have been a loss. That was against Kana Watanabe, another Bellator vet. Liz proved that in that fight against Watanabe that she can still be dangerous until the final bell sounds. That submission came with just 8 seconds left to go in the fight. So Taila has to be very, very careful, because if she does build a lead and wants to try and quote unquote coast in that third round, not saying she will, but if she is convincingly ahead and just wants to get out of there with a victory, she has to be careful, because Liz can still be dangerous. She can still pull off the submissions. She will not stop fighting until the final bell sounds. So be sure to let me know in the comments below, what are your predictions for the PFL heavyweight and PFL women's flyweight playoffs? Who is going to make the championships in each division? And if you want to go ahead and make your prediction for who the champion's going to be, you can do that as well. If you are new here, please be sure to drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can expect previews like this, going over the biggest storylines and what is at stake every single week. I also recap the most meaningful results from every MMA card and give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. You can join the community on social media at the BAJ MMA and follow along on your favorite audio listening platforms such as Spotify and Apple. I release podcast episodes there every Friday and Monday. Enjoy all of the fights this weekend, and I will see you in the next video.